Ever notice what everyone says after a divorce? Get back out there. Don't give up. The next one's the one. They make it sound like the only choice. But here's what's happening quietly. A lot of guys over 50 aren't following that advice anymore. They aren't chasing another ring. They aren't in a rush. And here's what makes some people uneasy. Many of them are perfectly content, even genuinely happier. So the bigger question isn't, why don't men over 50 remarry? It's, what did they figure out that most people don't? Before we dig in, hit that subscribe button if you're after honest conversations about life decisions, real-world strategies, and living on your own terms. This is a no-filter zone. Let's get straight to it. This isn't about men who've never been married. We're talking about guys in their late 40s, 50s, and beyond who already walked down that aisle. Men who wore the suit, spoke the vows, and believed this was forever. Some believed it once, some twice, a few even 3 times. Now, they're done with the same promise in a different box. This group isn't running from responsibility. Most leaned all the way in. They built careers, raised kids, paid the mortgage, showed up when it was hard, when it was thankless, when no one was cheering. They followed society's playbook: provider, husband, loyal partner. When it ended, many didn't spiral. They got quiet. And then they did something most avoid. They ran the numbers. Not just money, life numbers. What did it cost last time? How long to rebuild? How many years do I have left to recover if this goes sideways again? When you see it like that, the choice isn't emotional. It's strategic. Not, I'm done with love, but I'm not signing that contract again. Drop a comment below with the words strategic pause if this makes sense so far. And while you're there, hit that like button if you value this straight talk approach. The algorithm loves engagement, and it helps more men find this conversation. People assume these men are lonely. That's projection. What you actually hear is relief. A deep, quiet relief that only comes after paying a steep price. When a man buys a painful lesson in full, he doesn't rush back for a second class. Outsiders will say, "You're just afraid to commit." No, fear makes you freeze. Wisdom makes you choose differently. These men are moving, just toward peace, control, and a life that finally feels like their own again. Now let's talk about the math. The real numbers that shatter the fantasy. In researching this, one sentence kept appearing from men all over. Marriage was the most expensive mistake of my life. Sounds dramatic, right? But keep reading, it's not drama. It's accounting. The average divorce cost is a misleading number. If you're a man over 50 with assets, property, retirement, maybe a business, you're not average. You're looking at 6 figures. One guy told me he spent more on legal fees than his first house cost in the 90s. Not to gain something new, just to divide what he already had. Then there's alimony. One man called it a happiness mortgage, a monthly withdrawal for the privilege of being free from a marriage that died years ago. He wasn't angry. He just refused to sign up for another payment plan. Zoom out. About half of first marriages end. Most know that. But second marriages fail about 2/3 of the time. Third marriages? Roughly 3 out of 4. The odds get worse, not better. So imagine you're 55. You already lost half of what you built. It took a decade or more to stabilize. Now you're asked to bet the other half, with worse odds and less time to recover. That's not romance. It's a terrible investment. Comment "bad odds" below if you've seen this math play out in real life. And share this video with a friend who needs to hear this unfiltered perspective. But this isn't just about money. Money can be rebuilt. Trust can't. Not the same way. Listen to how these men really speak in private. They're not saying, "I hate women." They're saying, "I can't afford to care that deeply again." That's different. One man described his divorce as hollowing him out. The betrayal wasn't the worst part. It was realizing he ignored the signs because he wanted to believe. That's the scar. Once you've been emotionally dismantled by someone you trusted completely, you become precise. You stop overinvesting in someone who can legally unravel your life if they wake up unhappy one day. That's the illusion that collapses. Promises don't protect you. A certificate doesn't enforce loyalty. It just adds consequences when love leaves. One man wrote, "I don't fear being alone. I fear sitting in that courtroom again." That's the distinction. Loneliness in a dead marriage is heavier than solitude. Alone is quiet. The other is loud. So they choose the lighter weight. Not from fear, but from self-preservation. They still connect. They still care. But they cap the exposure. Because after divorce, you understand the equation with surgical clarity. Caring deeply gives someone the power to hurt you deeply. If this touches something real for you, comment self-preservation now. Let's get that comment section full of truth tellers. Here's the surprising part. When you look at their lives, you don't find bitterness. You find peace. Not dramatic, Instagram peace. Real, daily peace. Waking up and making coffee how you like it. No negotiations over mood or TV or dinner. Your space finally feels like yours. Your shoulders drop when you walk through the door. That's nervous system freedom. Many still date. They enjoy companionship and connection. They've simply separated closeness from contract. You can have love without paperwork, companionship without betting your future. Studies even back this up. Men who stay single after divorce often report higher life satisfaction than those who remarry. Why? Control. Over time, money, space, and decisions. So what's the real message here? It's not marriage versus singlehood. It's ownership. At some point, the question shifts from, what do people expect from me, to what can I no longer afford to sacrifice? It's about defining winning on your own terms. If you've been through this, the court dates, the rebuilding, the hard lessons, your story matters. There's a younger man right now standing where you once stood, believing it won't happen to me. Your truth could save him years. Drop your honest story in the comments. What did it cost you? What did you learn? What would you tell your younger self? Let's build a library of real-world wisdom right here. If this conversation brings you value, subscribe. Hit that like button. Share it with someone navigating these same crossroads. This channel is about clarity over comfort, truth over tradition, and owning your next chapter with your eyes wide open. You decide what your life looks like. You decide which risks are worth it. That choice has always belonged to you.